Hello class. Today's section is section 1.4, rewrite formulas and equations. The essential question for today is how can I use equation solving skills to solve an equation for a variable when there are multiple variables involved? So here's the deal. Here's where math starts to get a little bit scarier. We have equations where we have not just one variable, but multiple variables. It's starting to be like more letters than numbers. So let's take a look at example number one. We'll just tackle it one step at a time. Example number one reads, the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle is P equals 2L plus 2W. And if you remember, P would be perimeter, L would be length, W would be width. They want us to do two things here. First of all, they want us to solve this equation for W. Second of all, then they want us to find the width of a rectangle with the perimeter of 40 inches, P equals 40 inches, and length equals 6 inches. Okay, so we're going to tackle this one step at a time. The first step is to solve the equation for W. So let's rewrite the equation here. P equals 2L plus 2W. Now, since we're solving the equation for W, you know that the final step needs to be W equals something. And you're really good at doing this with numbers. The issue is here we have letters. Now, what I really like to do is I like to try to think about the letters as numbers. After all, that's what a variable is, right? I could plug in something for L. I could plug in a real number for L. I could also plug in a real number for P. They behave just like numbers behave, and I'm going to be able to use all the same math rules for them. So with that in mind, remember, I'm trying to get W on a side by itself. What can I do to get rid of the other stuff on the same side as W? Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out a way to get rid of this 2L. Keep in mind, it's just a number, right? I don't know what number it is, but that L is just a number. It's going to behave just like other numbers. So what I need to do is I need to subtract 2L from both sides. Isn't that what we would do if there was a number there? If I was trying to get the W on a side by itself, wouldn't I want to subtract this thing to the other side? Definitely. Now, what we're left with on the right-hand side is just simply 2W because the 2L's canceled. On the other side, can I subtract P and 2L? Well, not really because they're not like terms. So I'm literally just going to write on the other side P minus 2L. And that's fine because they're not like terms, they don't combine. The last thing that I need to cancel off the W's side is the 2. And you know exactly how to get rid of that 2. You simply divide both sides by it. It cancels over here and I'm left with W equals P minus 2L over 2. Notice a couple things. Notice that I divided this entire side by 2, not just the 2L, not just the P. I divided the entire side. Another way this could look is if you did each of those separately. So if I divided P over 2 and I divided 2L divided by 2 separately, that would be another acceptable way of writing the answer. Of course, in this case, the 2's would cancel, so really your final answer would just be P over 2 minus L equals W. This is an acceptable answer. Here, I kind of distributed the division through. I kind of distributed that dividing 2 through to the P and the 2L, so this is also an acceptable answer. Now, the second part of our problem says, find the width of a rectangle with P equals 40 and L equals 6. The real advantage of doing this with our formula is that now all I have to do is plug in these numbers. I have already solved my equation in terms of W, and so all I have to do is plug in the 40 and plug in the 6, and I'll get my answer. Let's just do it with this version of the equation because it's easier. I have W equals, let's see, instead of P, I'm going to write 40 inches. Instead of L, I'm going to write 6 inches. And let's just simplify. I know that 40 divided by 2 is 20, and 20 minus 6 is 14. So 14 inches is the width, and I'm done. Let's take a look now at example number 2. It's a simpler one, right? It doesn't have all the kind of connotation, like it's not a geometry problem anymore. It's just a simple equation. It says solve 5x plus 3y equals 8 for y. That's part 1. And then in part 2, we're going to find y when x equals -5. So pretty much the same as the other problem, right? Take a second, pause your player, try to do this one on your own. Very similar to the last one. All right, let's see if you got it right. We have 5x plus 3y equals 8. Now, I'm trying to solve for y here. Remember, that means I need to get rid of everything else on the side of y. I need to cancel it all out. The first thing that you want to cancel is the 5x, because I'm going to want to subtract 5x to the other side. For those of you that were thinking divide by 3 first, you could do that. I find, though, that people tend to make more mistakes dividing first because they forget to divide every single thing. A way to solve that is simply to subtract first. So I'm going to subtract the 5x to the other side. It cancels here. I'm left with 3y equals 8 minus 5x. Then I need to cancel the 3 by dividing both sides by 3. I will be left with y equals 8 minus 5x over 3. Remember, another acceptable way of writing this answer would be to distribute that 3. In other words, instead of thinking of dividing the whole side by 3, think of dividing every single term by 3. I'm distributing the division. So another way of writing this answer would be 8 over 3 minus 5x over 3. Both of these are acceptable answers. In the second part of the problem, I need to find y when x equals -5. Let's plug it into this first version of the equation. That seems easier to me. So I'm going to go y equals 8 minus 5 times -5 divided by 3. Let's just simplify some things here. I'm doing the multiplication first. -5 times -5 is positive 25. On the top of that fraction, I have 8 plus 25, which is 33, and 33 divided by 3 is 11. Done. Summary: when you're solving an equation with multiple variables involved, I think it really helps to imagine those other variables are just numbers because the same math rules apply. And that's it.